Hi there, welcome to Lamlam's audiobook novel channel. Today's story is titled, Donovan's Lost Luna. Chapter 4. Zuri. The head maid had instructed me not to say anything, lest I earn myself another one of the hits. And I'd done as she had said, secretly hoping he wouldn't come until I finished the task assigned to me. And he had walked through the door. I took no indifferent action and instead continued cleaning while he sat. The air in the room was tense as I walked away. I hadn't healed from all the pains he'd caused me, and I wasn't willing to incur another. We had both shared some words before I walked out to meet an angry elder in the room. It wasn't a good time, but that was none of my business. It'd be best if I minded my PS and QS concerning Donovan. Curiosity, however, took the best, and I walked to the slightly open door to eavesdrop on what he was going to say. And just like I'd expected, he was met with the cruelty of his hatred for me, and when the sword was wielded, I could imagine how it was done. His growl from inside the room reverberated through the room, and I could imagine the reaction on the elder's face. When I heard their conversation coming to an end, I briskly walked away from the door back to the maid's quarter. We'll go with our plan. Invite him over to the hotel and get him drunk. Make sure to alert the security to make sure the CCTV cameras are disabled. I heard some mumbles from the other side of the route that led to the maid's quarter, and they were undoubtedly the elders of the pack, but who were they talking about? I strained my ears closer to listen in on their conversation when I heard the whole context of it. Donovan was the topic of discussion, and the plan was to get him drunk and drugged with aphrodisiac while a lady would send it with him. He'd be accused of rape, and that seemed like reason enough to have him usurped from the position of an alpha. There was no way he would be able to escape from their plans, and as much as I hated him, I couldn't let him fall prey to the hands of these evil men. I walked away stealthily from where I stood to meet Donovan, hoping that he'd listen to my words. The door was still open and I peeked through, and he was still seated in his royal chair. I walked into the room and he turned his face towards me, seemingly surprised at my presence. Donavon, I was about to say when I changed my words. Alpha Donavon, I said, giving a curt bow before turning to face him. I've got something to tell you, Alpha Donavon, I said, and he gave no response to my words. Alpha Donavon, I called again, and he threw an evil glance at me. It's important, Alpha Donavon, I said again, and this time he kicked me across the room. I groaned in pain as he walked towards me, scrambling backward and away from him. Who do you think you're? He said, gripping my neck. You're a lowlife, a slave, and the daughter of a fucking murderer, he said, gripping tighter on my neck. I kicked my legs in the air, struggling for him to set me free lest I'd be dead in a short while. Hot tears fell from my face and dropped onto his hands, which made him release his grip on my neck before slapping me across the face. Get out! He yelled at my face, but I was still adamant. I only needed to keep my distance from him to not let him have a grip on me again. The elders, Donovan, their pillow. That was all I managed to say before the guards trooped into the room, sending me almost unconscious. Have her thrown back into the dungeon, he ordered to their delight. You've got to listen to me, Donovan, please, I pleaded despite the thick lashes of the guard's cane on my back. He gave no face to my words and turned deaf ears to them. I noticed Hart walking amongst the guards, who loosened at his presence. I'll take her in, he said to the guard, taking the strip that came from him and my bruised body from his shoulders. You better do it, Hart, the guard behind him said while Hart nodded in affirmation to their words. He walked as fast as he could, leading me to the dungeon. I cried with what had transpired between Donovan and me. I just needed him to see for a moment that I was telling the truth. A whimper escaped my lips as Hart set me down on a stool outside the dungeon. Zuri, are you okay? He asked, scanning my face, and I nodded affirmatively, even if it was the opposite. My back was one lash from being torn, and my neck and face hurt from the way Donovan had strangled and slapped me across the face. Hart, if you can tell him the truth or ask one of his guards to tell him the truth, he'll fall prey to the evil of these men, I cried while holding his hands. They won't listen, Zuri, nor would Alpha Donavon. He's too proud and hard-hearted and cold enough to treat you like this, Zuri, he said, running his palms across my face. There has to be something, Hart. Our lives are going to be doomed if he's usurped from the throne. There will be a lot of bloodbaths, and that I do not want for the pack, I said, hoping that he'd understand my point. Since when did you become a messiah, Zuri? You're being treated like trash by him, and you want to prevent him from being drugged by his corrupt pack elders? He asked, staring at me in disbelief. There's no way I'd let you go there. Whatever happens to him happens. He should face the consequences of his arrogance, Hart said, opening the door to the dungeon. Thanks for listening to Lamlam audiobooks. If you enjoyed this chapter, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more episodes. New chapters drop every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday at 9 a.m. Stay tuned, because in this story, nothing is ever what it seems. Until next time, keep listening.